Helmut Marko has dropped a bombshell about Ferrari and their future consequences after Oliver Bearman's impressive debut at the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. While Bearman isn't a Red Bull junior, Marko was stunned by his performance. But what's really catching everyone's attention is Ferrari's decision to sign Lewis Hamilton for the long haul. So, let's dive into this video today to know what Ferrari might face after Bearman's debut. Helmut Marko, who advises Red Bull, thinks Ferrari might have difficulty finding Oliver Bearman a seat in Formula One after his great start in Saudi Arabia. Bearman got called up when Carlos Sainz got sick and had only one practice session before qualifying and the race. The 18-year-old did well, finishing 11th in qualifying and 7th in the race. With Bearman, but also with our Liam Lawson last season or Pedro Acosta's debut in MotoGP, you can see what real exceptional talent looks like, Marko wrote in his column for Speedweek. Of course, the youngsters today are all well prepared when they step up. But only if someone is really good can they achieve such performances right from the start. I found the way Acosta attacked Marc Marquez incredibly refreshing. Just like Bearman's performance in Saudi Arabia. That's what we all want to see. Ferrari's headache. Ferrari will have Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc on their team for next year's championship. Hamilton signed a contract for multiple years, while Leclerc's new deal will keep him with Ferrari until at least the end of 2027. Since no spots are available at Ferrari shortly, Marko wants Ferrari's team principal, Frederic Vasseur, to find a spot for Bearman on the racing grid as soon as possible. Marko praised Oliver Bearman's performance in his Saudi Arabian Grand Prix debut race. "I thought Ollie Bearman's debut in the Ferrari was sensational," Marko believes in his column for Speedweek.com. Indeed, debuting in Saudi Arabia is not exactly easy. To drive like that at a circuit like Jeddah without much training is really strong. At times, he was almost driving at the level of Charles Leclerc. Marko isn't happy with Ferrari's recent choices. He thinks it was surprising for Maranello to sign Lewis Hamilton for a huge salary. Instead, Marko believes a young talent like Oliver Bearman could have been a better choice for the long term. But now, Ferrari doesn't have an empty spot for the 18-year-old. So Marko thinks Bearman might have been a better fit at Ferrari. Bearman's great performance makes people wonder, what will Ferrari do next? They are buying the expensive Hamilton. Leclerc has a long-term contract and Bearman is a super talent, said Marko, who advises the Italian superpower's team principal. Helmut Marko thinks Oliver Bearman could have a great career in Formula One if he gets more chances to race. "If I were Fred Vasseur, I would immediately look for an F1 cockpit for Bearman at another team, I don't know, at Haas, for example. Now they have to spend more money to train him. Teams are relatively financially saturated, which will cost them dearly. If they want to support Bearman's career, money isn't a problem for Ferrari." Marko said the team could invest in training Bearman for F1. Ferrari is financially strong. They offered Hamilton around $430 million, so they could invest in a young and promising future in Formula One. Oliver Bearman made history by becoming the third youngest driver ever in Formula One, so scoring points in his first race is a big deal. Even more impressive is that he finished ahead of the seven-time world champion in his debut race. Because of this, Ferrari might be thinking about what's next for their 18-year-old reserve driver. Where should Bearman go? Marko is saying that Ferrari can't just give money to a team anymore and say, "Put Bearman in your car." This used to work for teams with money problems, but not anymore. Right now, Haas F1 seems like the best option. They're based in the US and have strong connections with Ferrari. If Bearman drives for Gene Haas's team, he can still be part of Ferrari's program and might even replace Hamilton or Leclerc. But if he joins another team, he'll probably break ties with Ferrari. Where Ferrari is based, Maranello obviously doesn't want that to happen. Oliver's debut in Formula One is all appraisal. The 18-year-old, who had achieved pole position in Formula 2 in Jeddah, was called up to replace Carlos Sainz just hours before final practice. This happened because Sainz had been diagnosed with appendicitis and had to have surgery. With only 60 minutes of practice, Bearman barely missed out on making it to the top 10 in qualifying. He started in 11th place on the grid. In the race on Saturday, at the tough high-speed circuit, Bearman drove flawlessly to keep Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton behind him and finished in 7th place. Bearman's mature performance has put him in the running for a permanent seat in 2025. Changes to F1's driver lineup are likely, as more than half of the current drivers will be out of contract at the end of this season. When asked about his chances of getting a seat, Bearman said, "I don't know what else I can do because I don't think I'll be in F1 for the rest of the year. So my goal was to do a great showing this weekend. I think I did a decent job, so that's all right and that's all I can do. Keep pushing in F2 and cross my fingers. That's it." The place where Bearman is most likely to end up in 2025 seems to be Haas. He drove for them in 2 practice sessions last season and is expected to do more this year. Haas, owned by Americans, has a strong connection with Ferrari. Ferrari provides their engines, gearbox and other parts allowed under F1's rules. "I have a lot of practice sessions with Haas this year, so I'm excited to build a relationship with them and get more experience in the car. Hopefully, a door could open there for 2025. That would be great." Vasseur, result in the pocket for Bearman on the path to Ferrari. As a product of the Ferrari Driver Academy, Bearman's ultimate dream is to secure a seat with the Italian team. However, this doesn't seem likely anytime soon, with Lewis Hamilton signing to join Ferrari from Mercedes next season and Charles Leclerc having a long-term contract. But at just 18 years old, the driver from Essex has plenty of time to reach his goal. An opportunity may arise when 39-year-old Hamilton eventually retires. When asked if Bearman's performance in Saudi Arabia had improved his long-term prospects with Ferrari, team principal Frédéric Vasseur responded positively. He said, "It's a good sign for Ollie. It's an important milestone." Vasseur also mentioned that Bearman will soon start practicing with Haas, which will be crucial for gaining experience and mileage in the car. On the other hand, Lewis Hamilton was impressed by Bearman's seamless transition from Formula 2 to Formula 1 machinery at such short notice. He said, "To be taken out of your class and put straight into a Ferrari, a top team, and have to go straight into practice without long runs and all those sorts of things, I think he did a phenomenal job this weekend. It just shows that he's really a bright future star." Will Sainz be back for the Australian GP? Carlos Sainz participated in the initial 2 practice sessions at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix before being diagnosed with appendicitis and undergoing surgery on March 8th. With Sainz's return, Oliver Bearman, the young British driver who showcased his talent with a remarkable 7th-place finish in his debut at Jeddah, will not be driving for Ferrari. Instead, he will continue his Formula 2 campaign in Melbourne. Recent updates reveal that Sainz has been listed in Ferrari's official media schedule for the Australian GP, indicating his intended participation. Team representatives have also confirmed to Sky Sports that Sainz is set to drive. Despite Sainz's impending departure from Ferrari at the end of the season, as the team signed Lewis Hamilton for 2025, he had a strong start to the season with a podium finish at the Bahrain Grand Prix. While Red Bull has maintained its dominance from 2023, with Max Verstappen leading Sergio Perez to 1-2 finishes in the opening races, Ferrari has shown to have the second strongest car on the grid. Sainz's teammate Charles Leclerc secured another podium in Saudi Arabia, and Bearman's impressive performance reflected positively on both the car and the driver. Bearman credited Sainz for his success, highlighting the Spaniard's support and guidance from the Ferrari garage just a day after his surgery. While Sainz has yet to secure a seat for the 2025 season, he will likely have several options, given his reputation as one of the sport's top operators. Vasseur confirmed that Bearman will again be Ferrari's reserve when the F1 season continues in Australia in 2 weeks. Both Vasseur and Sainz, who remarkably came to the track the day after his surgery to support the team from the garage, are optimistic that he will be able to resume driving duties in Melbourne. Bearman added, "I've seen Carlos seems to be recovering really well, and I'm happy for him because in the end it's his car, his championship, so I think he'll be fine and I hope he's also good." So what do you think of Bearman's debut? Comment below and subscribe for more.